It's 12 o'clock noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for Rip It Live on Facebook, where we talk about everything softball, including college recruiting, high school happenings, the latest in Rip It equipment and paraphernalia, so that we can educate you, the softball community, to make the best decisions possible. And then you can see why more and more players, coaches, and parents are turning to the Rip It brand for their softball needs. I'm your host, Wes Pollock, and we have another great show today. We have two special guests on our show as we discuss the college experience from a parent's perspective. Firstly, the president of the well-respected and certainly well-accomplished Windermere Wildfire Travel Softball Organization and head coach of the Windermere Wildfire 16U Paulson team, George Paulson, as well as former head coach Lady Hawks and Stingrays, and as well as former assistant coach with the much recognized and well-respected 18U Wildfire Pollock team, Craig Penrose, is also here. And both are here to share their views and experiences involving their daughter's college softball experience. George and Craig will be here to answer questions as well as to discuss their experiences as parents of college softball players. George has two daughters, Madison and Alex. Madison attended Boston College, and Alex attended UNC Charlotte, both Division I schools, respectively. And Craig's daughter, Haley, began her career at FSCJ in Jacksonville, a junior college, and then transferred in her sophomore year to Montreat College, an NAIA school in North Carolina. George and Craig will offer some reflection, perspective, and advice on choosing a college for your kids and the decision-making process and what went into the final decision in determining where the kids went to school and played softball. And did that decision live up to their expectations, their satisfaction of both their daughters and their families? And if given the opportunity, would they reach the same conclusions or would they do things a little bit differently? We'll weigh in shortly. It's an all-wildfire panel today, but the knowledge, information, and experience that each of us has learned through our college experiences through our daughters, hopefully will provide invaluable and provide help to you, the Rip It audience, with your college recruitment process, as well as your daughter's college softball experience. Before we get to George and Craig, we're going to take care of some announcements. All right, last week, our product giveaway was the Rip It backpack. One of my favorites. I tout it all the time on the show when we offer it up. Size of that backpack. Fits all your equipment, all your Rip It equipment, all your equipment needs. That was the prize for last week, and the winner was David Barnett. David Barnett, the big winner of the backpack. I'm sure David and his daughter will be very happy with that prize. This week's product giveaway is the awesome Rip It hat, Rip It visor, Rip It visor, and the Rip It headband. Okay? So three nice pieces of clothing for your daughter. I'm sure she'll wear them at various points during the season. Remember, to win the prizes, you have to share the video, tag a parent or coach, and please make sure your tags and shares are public. Definitely we've seen an increase in public sharing, and that's important because that's the only way you can win, because if we can't see you, you can't be qualified to win. So it's really important. Make your shares, your tags, and videos public so we can see them. The winner of these items will be announced on next week's live Facebook show. All right. Another warm coach's welcome from Coach Pollock will be to the Rising Stars from Missouri. The Rising Stars outfitted 11 players in Rip It uniforms this past week. So welcome to the family, right, Rising Stars, and those uniforms look great. So that we welcome you. We're happy you came aboard, and look forward to having you as part of the Rip It family. Again, if you're just joining us, please comment, ask questions. We've got some expert panelists this week. Share, tag, coach, parent, and make it public, and you have a chance to win, again, the Rip It prizes we have. So let's move forward with our show. Okay, Greg and George, welcome again.
Thank you.
Thanks, George. Great to have you.
Or Wes.
I'll go by their name, it's fine. I want to start out by asking, when you were considering potential schools and choices for your daughters, what went into that decision? And George, you can go first, and Craig can follow.
Well, we had a process that we followed, and the net was cast pretty wide, but in the end, the schools that we narrowed down to were the schools academically that my daughters wouldn't have been able to get into otherwise without softball. So if it was a Boston College. Madison would not have been able to get into Boston College based on her, test scores and academics. So that was kind of the motivation with the daughters. I'm going to mix back and forth between coach and parent, but try to stick with the parent. So that's
Sure.
where we're going.
Okay, Greg?
I think on the side for young ladies, the most important thing is the student part. Start off early, narrow down what their major goal is, and look for schools that have the major. If 5 schools are looking at you and they don't have the major, it's probably not a wise choice. But attend the camps of the schools that do have the major, be seen, and then, narrow it down from there. I think a wise man once told me, go with the school that loves you, not the school that likes you.
I'd like to meet that wise man.
He might be sitting to my left
That
2
was you,
spots.
Wes.
Oh, Wes, oh, thank you. Yeah. When you made your decisions, was it ultimately a family decision, or was it your daughter's final decision?
For me, it was my daughters. I really wanted Madison to go to Boston College. She really wanted to go to Boston College. Alex had a couple of other offers, one to Furman, which is where I really wanted her to go, and she and her mother tricked me, and she chose UNC Charlotte.
They blindfolded you and took you to NC Charlotte.
That's right.
We're here.
That's right.
Yeah. Craig?
Has to be. It was Haley's, but at the end of the day, it should be your child. It's their 4 years of college.
Correct.
And
They're gonna be happy there.
yeah, I mean, you gotta be happy.
Gotta go where you're loved, gotta go where you love.
I mean,
Right.
to think about it though, schools change coaches. The school doesn't change, the coach may.
Correct. We've seen that happen on a number of occasions. Those factors that went into you determining where you want, or the daughters where they wanted to go to school, did they end up holding up in the end while they were there?
I think probably everybody's answer to that is yes and no. Both of my daughters, from the school side and the academic experience, I think it did help hold up. If they had it to do all over again, they would go back to the schools they went to. The softball, there's always ups and downs, so some of it was probably more than they expected, some of it was probably less than they expected.
Okay.
All right, that sentiment's echoed. I mean, on the academic side, you love the school, you love where you are, and again, softball is a game of averages, so you're going to hit your lows and you're going to hit your highs, and it's really what you've done as a parent and what their coaches have done for them in travel that prep them for the lows, how to get through those.
I think we covered my next question, so I'll probably skip over it because we talked about academic decision versus softball decision, and I think we found it's a combination of probably both,
That's right.
right? George, both of your girls attended Division I schools, as did mine. Early on in the Wildfire organization's existence, there was a theme and a sort of common goal of Wildfire players wanting to play at the Division I level. I mean, that seemed to be the target. Everyone wanted to aspire to be at that target. My more recent years coaching, I've now sort of opened up that sphere to players who and encourage them to look at schools maybe more in their comfort zone, ability zone. I mean, I think, at least my thing, I think the fact that our girls finished their 4-year careers playing softball in Division I school is testament to their perseverance and toughness, because it certainly isn't easy. I can guarantee you that. Every level of college softball is not easy, but especially when you get to Division I level, the demands, the expectations, the pressures, it's tough. And just to make it through 4 years demands a lot of character. But do you feel that, if you go back, have you changed, have you adjusted that thought process? Because we've seen a lot of success with Wildfire players at Division I, but at the same time, we've seen a lot of Wildfire players fall short, not completing their 4-year commitment for softball, doing their school, but finishing their 4-year career as a softball player based on playing time, limited opportunities, coaching-related changes or issues, and leading to frustration. Maybe picking schools that are big-name ESPN schools, and maybe that leap was too much, even though they were very good ball players at travel ball. How has that whole thought process adjusted in the last few years? I know for me it has. I'm certainly pushing more kids towards junior college to get, a little bit of taste of what college life is like, and then move to a 4-year school if I feel they're maybe not ready for that first 4-year jump. In your mind, how has that changed?
It's changed a lot, and I don't really know that I even differentiate between Division I, Division II, junior college. I will say I think within Division I there is a difference between the Power 5 schools, the mid-majors, and the smaller Division I schools that a kid's makeup to go to a Power 5 school has really got to be different. They have got to be ready for just uber, ultra competitiveness, not only with the opponent, but within their own team. They're fighting with 25 kids for playing time, and they may be rooming with someone they're trying to beat out, and
Right.
So that takes another level. I think the coaches are a little bit less. I'm going to pick the wrong word, forgiving from a standpoint of you perform or they move on to the next person. And it's just a little bit higher profile. They're under a little bit more pressure, so that's just the way it goes. But I think specifically to your answer to your question, we really spend a bunch of time right-sizing the player to where we feel they fit in. And we understand from our experiences and our kids' experiences, and me talking to 70-plus kids their freshman year in the fall of, the coach is trying to change this and change that, etc. That it's important that they have an opportunity to compete for a spot. And if they don't, they're not going to be happy.
Right.
What they do with that is up to them, but that's the most important thing, that they have a chance to be a significant part of the team.
Okay. I agree, and like I said, a lot of the players came out of Wildfire early on were great players, great travel ball players.
That's right.
But you find out the reality when you get to the Division I program that you compete against other great players
That's right.
from your same organization.
Ultra competitive,
Yeah.
very tough players.
Right. Hold on, I'm just getting an announcement. I don't have an earpiece, but I am getting an announcement. I think we have Dave DeRosa, senior buyer for baseball, softball at Academy Sports and Outdoor in the building. Am I hearing that correctly? Yeah. Hi, Dave.
How you doing? How are you?
Greg, nice to meet
How
you.
doing, Dave?
George.
Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Wes, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to
Thank
the
you for
show.
having me.
Well, let's hear if that's you.
Oh, I'm gonna sit there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Tonight Show. I kind of move down on the camera. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you for having me on. Academy is extremely dedicated to the softball community and partnered with Rip It this past couple of years, and it's been extremely successful, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to, hopefully have a section for her, with partnering with the brand, and you'll see some bigger things coming out of us in the next couple of years as far as growth is concerned in softball. We know she's earned that spot for us in our stores, and we'll continue to kind of dedicate that space to her. So, it's exciting. It's
I'm
exciting
sure
stuff.
the Rip It audience will be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Growing with the right brand.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've grown with them over the last couple of years, and we'll continue to do that. They've been great partners with us, and we feel that we've been great partners with them too. So we're going to continue to grow that brand.
That's great. Do you think that'll be addressed throughout all the various age groups, all the way from young to old?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
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 It'd be nice, like I said, be able to go into your stores and be able to pick
Get
up.
real-
Mom always
get
told me
real
I have to
quick.
improve my posture. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm slouching.
No, it's okay. We're all trying.
I'm a little bit nervous too. They just came in and like, oh, we want you to have me on our Facebook Live show. I'm like, oh, okay, great.
Some of us are new here.
You got the softball
You're all
going
new?
on.
Right.
Yeah.
You got the paint going.
I do,
I
it's,
think Rip It has some uniforms.
That's right.
Strategic
That's right,
has
yeah.
uniforms that color, yeah.
For sure.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We have an audience of 10 million, but don't.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. But yeah, we're actually theming talking about college experiences. George and Craig's daughters went to college and on softball scholarships. My daughters did as well.
Great.
So the theme of the show right now is, the experience of parent experiences through their daughter's eyes and experiences. So feel free if you want to stay and join in and not call for commentary, or if you want, it's up to you.
I do have to run. I just wanted to come in and say hello and thank you and congratulations with your kids going on to school and you as well. And I will pop in for sure. I mean, this partnership's going to go on for a while, and hopefully I'll be at Academy for a little bit, and we'll pop in for another show and kind of give you some more. When I'm more prepared, I'll come in and share some more. So
Well, we're excited. We
thank you
appreciate
very
coming in.
much
Appreciate you coming
for
in.
having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks
Good
for the
luck.
support.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate
Take
you
care.
trying to
Thank
grow
you.
softball
Thanks.
for
for
us.
supporting
Appreciate
the
that.
brand. We appreciate it. Okay. Nice of Dave to pop in, huh?
Very nice.
Very nice to have Academy Sports here to help promote the Rip It brand and vice versa. It's a good partnership, good marriage,
It's awesome.
and it's working out well. Okay, we'll go back to Craig on one of the questions I was about to ask Craig. How has it been from Haley to go from a junior college program 2-year to a 4-year program and leaving Florida to go out of state?
I think the biggest transition is the weather. She was always taught that softball is softball, whether you're playing it at Florida or if you're playing it at your local rec center. See the ball, hit the ball, field it, throw it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the game itself. I think it changes because the quality is supposed to step up, but you have good kids at a JUCO that maybe academically couldn't qualify at a larger school. So I think the competition, obviously, if Florida comes to your local JUCO, they're going to take care of business handily. But I think the biggest transition is the climate, and not necessarily being so far away from home. Technology allows you to Facebook
Yeah.
Live and
right.
and enjoy FaceTime and those things. But I think the biggest transition's just been the weather. She was sick the entire fall, so I think she got like 3 at-bats in the fall. You know,
Okay.
Florida kid not used to
Yeah. my
28 degrees.
My younger one plays in Michigan. I get it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and certainly it's more of a stretch for you to come up to watch her play versus having her play in Florida, too.
2 games
Which
this
is-
year.
Yeah, which is an adjustment, yeah. You gotta think about that, too, when you're considering schools outside the state or up north. All softball players, we know, go through highs and lows. Maybe you can tell the audience how your daughters have handled both the highs and the lows in their experiences.
Probably just about like all the other players and all the kids. The handling of it and the message that I gave to them was that they were still the same player. They were still as good as they were when they came in, and you know, probably better now because they're practicing every day and that kind of thing. And really to try to keep their confidence was really the piece that I fell back to giving them advice.
Right.
Madison and Alex are different kids. Madison takes things probably to heart a little bit more than Alex. Alex lets things roll off her back a little bit, so that the personality and the way they deal with it comes into
Yep.
effect. But I think both of them keeping the confidence and keeping the belief in themselves was the most important thing to getting through the harder times.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is your child is allowed to believe they are good enough to be in the 9. They're allowed to believe that. Whether the coach agrees at that moment or not is wholly different. And I think the biggest thing is measure your expectations as a parent. Explain to your child before they go off, hey, if you're not in the lineup, it doesn't mean you can't be the best cheerleader, the best teammate possible. And just when you get the opportunity, take advantage of it. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Coaches are paid to win, and you know, your child's there to help the team win. And if they can't, somebody else is going to get that opportunity.
I mean, it's pretty cutthroat. You're turning the barrel.
That's right.
If you produce, you stay. If you don't, you go back to the back of the line until your turn comes up again.
Some schools 0 for 3 is a slump.
Yes, and then you don't see the field for maybe 3 or 4 games.
Correct.
So, you know, and I guess I attribute to, you know, coaches' jobs are on the line. They need to win to keep their jobs. Sometimes I'm not always on board with the decisions, but as a parent, we're here to support our daughters and have spent many a times doing that over the years.
That's
I,
right.
I think the biggest thing is realizing that when a college coach is recruiting you, they're your best friend. When your child gets there, it's about the winning. So that what you saw in the recruiting process isn't necessarily what you get when you get to the school.
Yeah, I think there are two sides to a coach. There'll be the recruiting coach who will tell you what you know, everything they make you to help you get there. And then when you get there, the reality, and if you, play by the rules, you play, you're on the same page, I think you'll be okay. But if you're not, you might have some challenges. Both your daughters played at a very high level high school program, West Orange Warriors. Okay, George, your daughters played with my oldest daughter, Ariel, and they had very strong competitive elite type teams over the years. Bobby Brewer at the head coach.
Yeah.
Won district several times, maybe won a regional along the way. I think got to states once.
Yep, one Final Four.
Yeah, talented team,
Yeah.
talented group. And Craig Haley played on 2 state championship teams at West Orange. Different makeup. Clive Lanieve was the coach at that point. Interesting to see if the 2 squads play against each other, how it would end up being, because both teams were really good in different ways.
Yes.
But in any event, how did high school help your daughters prepare for college?
I think from a softball standpoint, because Bobby was a very good coach, and Todd is a very good coach. I guess Bobby still is he's
Yeah,
coaching
still,
still, yeah. And the girls really connected to him, and they still talk to them and text on, holidays and that kind of thing. So from that standpoint of playing for the school and school pride and being in a program that, lucky enough to be in a program that was as competitive as it was, I think that just helps. From a college recruiting standpoint, that type of thing, softball is, if not 100%, 99% comes through the travel ball piece of it. Now, Bobby and Todd both have some connections with colleges and help that process along, but I would say they're in the minority with respect to the high school programs
Exposure
around the
opportunity for
state.
college.
That's right, yeah.
For my daughter, it was a different experience. When she got to West Orange, the team was loaded. I don't want to offend anybody, but I believe that when they won the championship her senior year, that they should have been 4-time defending state champs. The talent as her freshman year was greater than her senior year.
Yeah.
And she played JV for 2 years. So, I mean, there were 5 or 6 freshmen in her class, and they played JV for 2 years, and they would have started probably at any other high school. So it taught her what she's going to learn in college. Just because you think you're good enough, you may not be on the traveling roster, let alone
Right.
in the starting lineup.
Yeah. Okay. Again, if you want to comment, share, tag, parent, coach, please do so. Make it public so we can see it. Chance to win the Ribbit visor and the Ribbit hat and the Ribbit headband. Last week, Dave Barnett won the backpack, so you can see some nice prizes. But you got to make things public. Tag, share, and ask questions if you have any questions here for any of our guests.
Are we able to win?
Sorry, you're disqualified.
Because I was eyeballing the headband.
Yeah, you know the host.
Okay,
You
we
know the
both-
I
host.
know, the headband would be good.
I know that. I'll be counting, doing an inventory when the show's over. What were your greatest memories of your daughter's college softball career?
Oh, wow. For me, I think her senior day, and just the fact that she, as you mentioned early, had the perseverance to get through all the ups and downs and get through it. She had a great game. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Alex's senior day, so I think that'll most likely be my best or proudest moment. But I know what they go through, and it's hard. So getting through it and fulfilling your commitment, I think really sets them up for life. They learn a lot of life lessons there. So that's it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know a proudest moment. I mean, she's a sophomore, so it's kind
Yeah,
of
maybe
hard.
so-
I think the first time we traveled when she was at FSCJ as a freshman, we traveled up there. I think she was 3 for 4 or 2 for 4. And when she rounded first base after her first hit, the smile was ear to ear, and it was kind of like, yeah, I've arrived. So that would probably be the proudest moment. Maybe 2 years from now, I can come back and tell you there was a game-saving catch or a walk-off. But
Right.
for now, that would be
And
it.
yeah, that's a nice moment. First time up, you know, in the first game, come with 3 hits. With your daughters completing their commitment, with my daughters completed theirs, moving on. My daughter's moving on to master's programs and postgraduate programs after softball. Softball, testing them, their perseverance, like I've said earlier, and testing them, and they're battle tested, and the discipline and the experiencing the highs and lows and getting themselves through that stuff, I think has made them better people.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if not just from the softball side, but also as a character, a person of character. I just kind of skipped over this one, I didn't want to, because I just maybe a brief answer because we're getting shorter on time, but how did travel ball play an influence in the whole college experience in preparation? Did travel ball prepare them as properly? Did it fall short in any areas? And if so, how would you change those?
I think it prepared them very well, except for probably one spot, which we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
where the competitiveness, I don't think you can really create that environment in the travel ball environment with, you know, we're not carrying 25 kids and
Right.
people can just leave and go and come how they want. And that part of it is where we fell short, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a final answer to that, because you're right, people, if they don't like the situation, they just leave. At some point, you're gonna not be able to do that anymore.
Right.
And that's why I say to my families that, look, I understand if you're not playing as much and you wanna look at other options, I get it, but at some point, that option won't be available to you because you run out of schools to jump to. So we gotta figure out a way to get better, improve, work harder, fight your way into a lineup, and again, persevere. Maybe easier said than done, but that is the essence of what we're talking about.
That's
So in
right.
college, there is no forgiveness. You're either playing well enough to play or you're not. And if you're not, you're in the dugout and you're supporting your teammates. And if you are, you're on the field. And you're on the field for as long as you produce. And if that changes, it reverses itself. You know,
No,
that is what it is.
absolutely.
You know, man, like I said, I think the coaches, they're getting paid to win. They're getting paid to be successful, promote the school, promote their program, so they don't have as much luxury to sort of baby and coddle
Yeah.
players the way, you know, a travel ball coach might or a rec league coach might. It just doesn't exist at that level. They're good coaches, they're supportive, but they have to make tough decisions from time to time, and those tough decisions might fall on your daughters. So you have to prepare them for that.
I think you both said something about your daughter's commitment, and when you said players move because they're not in the lineup or they're not hitting in the 4 hole or they're not in the position they want to be in, I think I always stress to players when I coached, how many times a week do you practice?
Right?
Like, at the end of the day, if you are relying on the coach of your travel team to be your hitting coach, your pitching coach, your fielding coach, I mean, you have to work outside the practice field. You have to condition outside the practice field, hit, do the things between practices to improve your skill set. Because if you aren't, somebody in your neighborhood that plays probably is.
Just a side comment we've had from a viewer from Canada. I recognize this
Oh,
person
mackerel.
from, look, we stretch Rip it all the way to another country and become international on this show. But Michael Scheinfeld said to watch those GD hops, have to have soft hands. And his reference is when I had a baseball camp in Canada, we played on like Dominican type fields. They
Right.
weren't very good.
Right.
And we had kids at the camp who played, and you really had to have soft, quick hands because otherwise you would take one. So Michael is adding some inside commentary, but that's fine. Michael, I'm glad you're watching all the way from Canada. Thank you for taking the time. Now, last words of wisdom do you have for the aspiring Rip It players and parents whose dreams is for their kids to play in college on scholarships? What would you tell them that you've learned and, you know, words of wisdom?
I think the biggest thing I've learned, both from my kids and players that I've coached, is at the end of the day, your child needs to be happy. And whether that makes you happy or your wife happy or are the relatives happy is irrelevant. What is important is that the player and the child is happy, and the earlier you can disconnect yourself from your happiness, from her happiness, and just let her go, the better off you'll be. If you're worried about she didn't get in at bat, or she only played the first game, didn't play the second game, that'll eat you up, and that ate me up for a couple of years, and
Still does.
I disconnected from it.
Good for George. For
Yes, I did.
Therapy. That's good.
I did.
Yeah.
So them being happy,
Yeah.
no matter what school, what division, what their position on the team is the one and only important thing.
Okay, good. Greg?
I think you said it all. I think the one big thing is if your child is happy, that's all should matter. But softball parents need to recognize there is no Mike Trout contract coming for your superstar softball player when they finish. Pick the right school for the education, and then just make sure they're happy. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure you love traveling to Michigan to go watch softball.
Right. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It's close to Canada.
Yeah, it's close to Canada, so that's right, you get to cross the border a lot, so. Okay, well, that makes sense, and again, I appreciate your guys' feedback and input. George and Craig, I want to thank you for joining us today on our Rip It Live on Facebook show. You offered some great insight and parent experiences about your daughters, how you played. I know firsthand as a parent of a college player, it is not easy to go through some of the pains and frustrations that they experience, and you and your spouses should be commended for raising children who are not only gifted enough to play at the next level, but the support you've offered them is immeasurable. As I said often to my own kids, and I think I've said this on the show, my Wildfire team, my Players' Choice mentoring, student athletes, the stats are great, and you can celebrate your accomplishments. But when the crowd is done chanting your name, all you're left with is yourself and your last name and your reputation. Your last name was given to you by your parents, so make them proud, right? At the end of the day, the character you develop and the character you claim is what stays for you for the rest of your life. So I always say character matters. So all the kids, Madison, Alex, and Haley have done you guys proud. So you should be proud.
Yep.
We
Okay.
are, yeah.
So again, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Wes.
Appreciate it. Okay, now on to a most popular segment on the show, the Rip It High School Heroes of the Week. There are a lot of heroes and a lot of action. I'll get through this one. TFA's Mariana Alamini had been on fire for TFA, hitting .542 with 18 stolen bases. She has hit in every game this season with the exception of 2. Her teammate, Katie Burnett, is hitting .525 with 16 stolen bases. They had a couple rabbits on the field. And has reached base successfully in 16 straight games. She owns a perfect fielding percentage, so she actually is contributing on both sides of the field. Windermere Prep's Meredith Workman went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs, and Grace Bennett went 3 for 5 with an RBI in the Windermere Prep's 8-3 win over Trinity Prep. Sarah Barefoot, you know her, Craig,
Yes, I do.
of Lake Mineola, had another Iron Woman performance in the pitching circle, going 12 innings last night and helping her team defeat Westport High 1-0.
Great job, Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah, not even known to be the pitcher as her first position, stepping up big time for Lake Mineola. Apopka keeps rolling, beating a solid Windermere High team 5-2. Janae Brown went yard for Apopka and helping them move to 17-1, and Janae is actually on my Wildfire team. So way to go, Janae. Way to represent. Last week, Boone had a big win over Dr. Phillips, 1-0. That's a big win for Boone. But in the loss, Gracie Lopez had a record-tying 5th triple for Dr. Phillips, while Rachel Trockey, you know them both too, Craig, struck out 12 Boone hitters. Right?
Great job on both their parts. Rachel's tearing it up this year in the circle.
Yeah, she is. Hagerty came away with a big win against Lake Howell, 2-1. Mary Phillips went 7 innings in the pitching circle for Hagerty, only giving up 1 run on 4 hits. Vicky Rodriguez of Lake Brantley went 2 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs as Lake Brantley upended West Orange 6-2. And with the win, Lake Brantley moved to 17-4 on the season. So that's a big win for Lake Brantley. Lindsay Hendricks was brilliant in the pitching circle last week, throwing a no-hitter to lead Timber Creek past University 10-0. Caitlin Burdick also had a big game for Timber Creek, going 4 for 4, including a grand slam. That's a career for some people, right?
True, very true.
Ainsley Furbish of Winter Springs had a home run for Winter Springs as they remained undefeated at 21-0. with a 2-1 win over Oviedo. Alexis Murphy of the Red Hook softball team in New York. So our Rip It reach extends all the way up to New York. Threw a game for the ages in her first game. She threw a one-hitter, which included 16 strikeouts. She also had 3 doubles in the game. So a nice job by Alexis up in New York. And we have a couple Rip It college shout-outs. I'll get that right. A Rip It college shout-out for former Wildfire Pollock, alumni player. Yeah, that's a self-plug. Jaden Klein, who plays for Florida Tech and received the Player of the Week award in her conference after the Kissimmee, Florida native, hit .417 over the week, including a 5 for 12 3-game performance against number 24 Rollins. That's a big-time performance. Rollins is a very good team every year, usually at the top of the division. Jane had a great game. She was a great catcher for our team back in the day when she played with my daughter, Sydney. Another Rip It college shout-out to former Wildfire Pollock 18U alumni player Mia Olson of Florida Atlantic University. And Mia's been shouted out before on the show. Mia hit her 9th home run of the college season, which moved her into a tie for 4th place all time on the FAU list. So that was a big accomplishment for Mia. Congratulations. And those are your high school heroes of the week. Okay? And remember, moms, Rip It has a private Facebook group just for you. Just search Softball Mums Squad. Click the link in the comments below. As well, remember to like, comment, and share to promote the growing softball community. And again, make it all public. If you want a chance to win the great prizes, make sure your tag shares and comments are public so we can all see them. Tag a parent, coach, share the video, chance to win the Rip It hat, visor, and headband, as I just said. And we'll be announcing the winner on next week's Wednesday, April 21st, Rip It Live on Facebook show. So next week we'll be announcing the winners of the prizes this week. All right? Until then, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday at noon on Rip It Live on Facebook.